Well, we are here, and I'm supposed to moderate, so not to speak, so to organize this conversation. Last time I met Gilbert, he was on the airport going to Japan, and I asked him, what are you going to do to Japan? And he told me where I am delivering a speech on innovation in financial services. He was in first class, so he moved very fast. And, and I asked myself, what this guy knows fucking about innovation in financial services in Japan? Great, because I know these guys since before they were entrepreneur, before they were in youngsters and in high school, and so it's a great question. And afterwards, that's innovation in New York. The Innova gala in New York, and near midnight there was a lady looking for a taxi. Hello.
Hola, hola.
Yes, that's a backup. And there was a lady waiting for a taxi to go to the hotel, and this was she. So I met her for the first time. On the taxi, I asked her, what do you do? I am the corporate transformation officer of BBVA for the world. And so I asked her, what type of physics that she can work, or you are an anthropologist? And she said, no, I am a physicist.
Yes, I am.
So in 10 minutes, she explained me, 5 minutes, what corporate transformation was about for BBVA. And so now we are going to have a presentation from Gilbert, and you will have to explain why are you together dressed in same type of colors in terms of Zara concept. So they go to the same shop to buy their clothing, looks like, and will benefit of their experience working together.
Well, we are red in our colors, no? We are dressing in red in our colors. By chance.
So perhaps you can say how do we meet each other?
Yeah. Well, it was through the through BBVA Innovation Network. I was designing in those days how will be the bank of the future, how to change our relationship with our customers. To put the customer in the center of the activity is a top job, really. Imagine that still we are called visitors by cities or guests by hotels. Even though we pay the bill, they call us guests. We are passengers for airline companies. We are subscribers, consumers, we are whatever, except really customers or clients. So for a bank, it was not an easy task, but we were changing our relationship model, and we were trying to look for more opportunities beyond the boundaries of conventional in the bank industry. And I needed a lab. I needed to speed up. I needed to speed up innovation. And we had a common friend, Marco, was working in those days as a chief innovation officer in Xerox. And he said, well, I think, Beatrice, that you should talk to Guy. So I called you. I told you, well, I will be in Buenos Aires next week, so why we are not going to meet? Yeah. And Gilbert didn't say, oh, yes, great. No. He made a long disclaimer. Well, look, Globan is an innovative company. We are not used to work with old guys. But anyway, as you are a friend of a friend, let's meet. And it was not a bad experience, no?
Not at all. Actually, I was on an Endeavor end-of-year planning session, and I got this call, and it was fun because it was just on the right time. Like a year before that, in what has been our short history, which included a lot of growth, but also a lot of reinvention, I was having dinner at my house with one evangelist from Google. They are customers of us, and he says, guys, you've been getting a lot of knowledge about the latest technologies, and you are always doing, what's going to be next. So perhaps your advantage is the fact that you can help other customers not to do exactly the same that they are doing, but perhaps to add them knowledge about what's going to be next. So that's how we started the transformation at Globant on moving into innovation. We knew from there that, that our edge was not going to be. We knew that coming from Argentina, we could not be sustainable unless we were a premium provider, and we decided to reinvent through innovation. So when Beatriz called me, it was very interesting because it was giving us a first test case to start providing these innovation services in a world that has changed a lot. The way I see it is organizations internally are still doing pretty much the same thing they've been doing. So innovation is mostly happening at the boundaries. For centuries, we've been used to shout at consumers, saying, buy my product, come on. And, for the very first time now, technology enables us to have a bidirectional dialogue. And that has been shifting, the way you communicate, but also at a time in which innovation has been democratized. So it's much easier, faster, cheaper to innovate. And what we are seeing is that when you are trying to reach those consumers, what you see is this. I don't know if I can. Okay.
I will move.
What we are seeing is that pretty much any successful product, as a consumer, you are faced with countless of opportunities to select whatever you want to choose. So it's now your time to choose, when perhaps 10 years ago it was your IT department to choose. So what we're seeing is that pretty much every product, this is, for example, the LinkedIn mobile app, which we are working on. And, there has been, it's at the crossroads of many trends, including mobility, social, big data, cloud, gamification, usability. And when you start wondering, okay, I know this. I now know that pretty much any successful software today embeds some of this. We need to ask ourselves, how many of these trends were actually a trend 5 years ago? And truth is, none of them. So we are living on times of exponential change, and our organizations are being challenged at a time in which we are still using traditional managerial methods inherited from, perhaps you can mute that. Using managerial methods that were inherited from the 20th century, very hierarchical, that work very well for command and control, but not perhaps to come up with ideas. And also the vast majority of our HR departments are challenged by this, which is the core of our workforce and the core of our consumers.
A typical bank employee.
Typical bank employee, I guess. So, these guys are digital natives. They have born and raised and been shaped by technology, and they have come up to learn that they can be not only consumers but also producers. They are used to have feedback about what they produce. They are social collaborators. They have blurred boundaries between hierarchy and free time and work time. So, for example, our employees, when they work at our company and they program, guess what they do during the weekends? They go and program as well because they like it. So we started to think about this and trying to think if we could create an organization to drive sustainable innovation, because I believe that if we are able to help our customers, then we have a sound business. These guys also want their career to develop fast as to learn, because they know that learning is their currency. As they develop their careers, they have value. So we started to do many things. I'm not going to bother with you, but we enabled their voices. We have created a number of practices trying to come up with ideas. So we found in our people the solution to provide innovation. You have that saying that if everything you have is a hammer, everything looks like a nail to you. So having a large company exposed to many of these hot new trends, we decided that we could bring many of these people to collaborate and to come up with ideas. That's what we did. On one side, we also enabled, like 3 years ago, the labs to start, which is a place for exploration around things like robotics, bioinformatics, augmented reality, smarter cities, many good things that even our customers were not requesting, but we wanted to explore them beforehand. Games that you control with your brain and different kind of tangible interfaces. So these things started to allow us to build credibility and also to help our customers better. And also we needed to create an environment for developing our people. So, it's not uncommon to see that we create talks to cross-pollinate knowledge from other areas. As Beatriz is a physics and brings many physics within their team, was also a very good way to do it. So, I don't know, like a couple of weeks ago, we brought one of the NASA engineers who put the Curiosity rover on Mars to tell us how he did it. Well, nuclear engineering, bioinformatics, neuroscientists are going pretty much every month to talk about different things. But with this, we came out with the idea of then, okay, let's provide innovation as a service. And when you called me, it was fun because shortly after you left, you sent another team to Buenos Aires. And Álvaro and Javier, they show up and say, my boss in Madrid is telling me that I should come with you guys because you're going to be able to come up with ideas that, while we have a palace in Madrid, we are all mathematicians, we are physics, we know our stuff, we know our business. I don't believe that you're going to come with something. Kind people. They were very, very, candid, and very straightforward. What we found that during after, BBVA is extremely forward-looking environment. That had thought about 4 lines of where they see of new opportunities where they see themselves on 2020, and they were asking us to come up with ideas. So we gathered a lot of people, and I must confess that I was also surprised because we came out with 150 new ideas that we narrowed later to 50, then to 12, and say, okay, these are the best. But they say, no, but I like the 50. So it was surprising, and then we started to do this. We also work with New York Stock Exchange, NASDAQ, American Express, Mercedes, JP Morgan, Credit Suisse.
And how do you produce these ideas?
We crowdsource. We know that not every employee will come up with ideas, but there are many who will. So we invite them, and we have, from a 3,000 people company, at least 350 people are regulars showing up on these sessions.
But how do you do? Do you provide drugs like Steve Jobs or?
No. No, although
you say people, be creative. What do you do?
No. We just ask them for their point of view, and they come up with taking a look at the problem from their angle. And it's amazing what you see. We did one session with NASDAQ, and a guy came with the idea of saying, am I the only one who would invest in a stock just because I'm passionate about the cause of this company? So they provide different angles that you would never thought of, and they came up with great ideas. And actually working with BBVA, one of the problems that big corporations have is they have a risk-averse culture, but also the inability to express in a very tangible way the idea to get people excited. So one of the first things that Beatriz came with was, okay, how do we bring banking to the base of the pyramid? And we came up with this, with something. Oh, it's not here.
It's not here.
Okay, but don't worry.
We lost it.
Perhaps you want to tell us more about that.
They design, one of the things they have done for us is to design a low-cost banking terminal. At BBVA, we work for a better future for people. And in this world, more than 3/4 of the global population has a mobile, but less than 1/4 has access to basic financial services. And we know that the bankers, it's extremely important to ensure that better life, in the sense that there is a positive correlation between among the people that has a bank account or access to basic financial services, and the possibility to develop, to grow, and to really have a better future. Oh.
No, it's not there, folks.
And
Okay,
we are off the record, so why did you choose these guys? It's confidential.
No, I trust a friend.
Trust a friend.
I trust a friend, and we had a long chat a long conversation by telephone, and during the conversation, I took the decision to visit them. And then my experience in Globan and their offices were exactly what we have seen. So they work as we are working in the Innovation Center in Madrid. So they were our right partner for
So it's
innovate.
open innovation in Argentina.
Yeah, open innovation, yes. The ideas, the talent is wherever, not only in California.
Yeah.
So
watch Skype, yes.
And they were great in creating low-cost solutions. Because when we are talking about banking and bankers, what we need is low-cost solutions. So what we need is to use what is already there. And what we have there are shops. So if we really want to extend and to provide huge banking access, we need to change our mindset, first of all. So we need to help them to adopt the service, because we have a lot of... Excuse me.
I was asked you to talk on that microphone.
Okay, thank you. Sorry. So the idea is that why people has not access to financial services. Well, the first point is adoption. So they don't think that banks are for them. The second thing is accessibility. Most of the cases, branches are too far from where they are living. And the third point is affordability, because they cannot pay for that. They expend 80% of their salary the first day they receive their salary. So they should they should save the rest, the $20, $40. For them, it's extremely important to save and to have access to do that. But the question is how. So what we have designed is a low-cost terminal. Really was Globan who really fit and was able to provide a really low-cost and nice terminal. And it's a pity because we have the photo here. Yeah, but we will look for it later on.
Well, Argentine people tend to be perceived as very creative. With the exception of creation of institutions, all the rest we are perceived as being creative.
We are a very democratic country. Back in 2001, we had 5 presidents in 5 days. So, you know.
Oh, that's another type of conversation, isn't it?
No, but that's serious. That's it, because I tend to think that innovation for emerging markets will not come from Silicon Valley or from London, because the problems of emerging markets are different, and the adoption and the way, look, Kenya, you would never have invented the Kenya SMS system in Silicon Valley, because the problem was not there, is not here. So I'm strongly convinced that that innovation for emerging markets, if you are targeting the 1 billion people, it's not coming from Silicon Valley.
That's one thing. The other thing is, it is so easy. Can you imagine us getting into hardware business? In less than 30 days, we did not only 1, but 2 ATMs.
Yeah.
We use 3D printers. We hired an industrial designer. We combine, on one side, open components, and which are now open source, and then tablets, and we did 2 different versions. Now it's easy. We can do it. At another time, we wouldn't be able. So we are lucky to live these times.
Anyway, yeah, all of you are welcome to our innovation center, where you can test the Globan solution in Madrid. But the point is that, well, why these guys are saying this? You are entrepreneurs. You are starting your companies, and the point is that the innovation world, Globan is an innovative company. The innovation world and the operational world should work together. So most of you, or all of you, are innovative. Believe me, anyone can innovate. if a bank can innovate, anyone can innovate. So create innovation is not so difficult. The question is not just to run the cycle to create the first new product. The question is how you transform your operations to really embed that creation in your existing operations. And the key point is how you will create the next one. So we distinguish between to innovate, and to be innovative.
Do you have any metrics to measure the success of your innovation?
Yeah, well, we started 5 years ago, and now we created this low-cost terminal. We created a completely new self-service machine.
But if there is something like in the pharmaceutical companies, for example, that you have that proportion of your whatever revenues is dedicated or assets? Or
Typically, innovation is 1%, 1 digit in 1 period. So that means that if you are a pharmaceutical company, your digit is between 3 and 7% of what you have created is already deployment, and the period is between 7 and 10 years. In the bank industry, our experience now is that, well, we have 10% of what we think is really useful. We innovate for growth. We innovate to create
10%
value.
of what you think, 1 every 10 ideas.
Yeah, every year. The cycles in the bank industry are shorter, okay? But it's difficult to deploy global solutions. Imagine that BBVA, we have 8,000 branches. So when you try to change something, you should multiply by 10,000 times, okay? So it's important not only the creation, but to move the operational world. And these two worlds are ruled by different by different profiles and by different methodologies. And in your case...
It's how you implement that.
Oh, that imagine... Well, in your case...
This is Martin Barsavsky.
Yeah, in your case it's much easier because you are 2, 3, 100 people, and it's easier to work together. But normally, what you see is just one world. The operational world, you started your business. Banking industry started hundreds of years ago. And during the last 30, 40 years, we have improved our operations through technology. But to be innovative for a bank is not easy because the principles of innovation couldn't be part of our DNA. You are ready, you are comfortable in assuming risk. We, in the banking industry, we are experts in risk management. For you, failure or experimentation is great, is part of the core business of the innovation. But none of you probably could like we experiment with your financial statements. Don't you? No. So in a high level of quality, transparency should be no risk. That is the business of a bank. That is our core business, and we should keep that.
And what is the most challenge that you have to execute innovation in your 110,000 people?
Great, because that's the point. When you have great operations and you try to start with the innovation world is not comfortable for your operations. Okay, so you need to grow as the innovation unit as fast as possible. That's the reason why we have a lot of partners and an extensive innovation network. Look, when you work the innovation world and the operational world, it's not 50-50 really. At the beginning, a project takes a lot of time. You need a lot of innovation effort to create something, to test it. But as the project progresses, you need the involvement of the operational world. And in certain point, you reached enough maturity to launch that project. Okay, if you are a really innovative company, you can run this cycle a lot of times, and at the end, you are going to launch your product faster than others because your operational world will not resist in embedded in new innovation.
Operational are people.
Operational is, well,
and
all
systems.
of you, it's the people, but it's really the machinery that is delivering the product to the field. Because the outcome of an innovation unit is a pilot, is a prototype, but this is not ready for the market. So you need operational people, you need the operational profile to really make money from your innovations.
And this is a different DNA of the people in your organization?
Different profiles, yeah. And in all companies, even if it's just 10 people or 10,000 people,
So
or
you
as in our case,
you recruit differently
110,000.
now.
Excuse
You
me?
recruit differently.
Yeah, you need different profiles to run both sides.
And I guess that it's important to see, with together yesterday we were talking with Beatriz, and she came out with exactly the same term that I am using internally, which was inception.
Inception, yeah, inception.
You know, as innovation guys, we are always obsessed about how people would, you can put an idea into the head of somebody and make them believe that it was theirs, and and believe it so profoundly that they would not kill it. So we are always struggling as a company. We're very passionate about, okay, what happened with this guy? What happened when we presented it this way? What happened that way?
So you're organizing how to manipulate the people.
Yeah. No, we are we really like to know, for example, I'm sorry we couldn't see it, but when you show the thing working and beauty, people gets excited. If you don't show it very visually, we know that will reduce the chances of the idea to be adopted. But I would like to know more about how do you manage that?
Yeah, it's inception. So simple idea inside your mind, believe that it's your idea, just to start to work with it as soon as possible. Because the only way to implement successfully great innovations is if you have the operational world with you. In our case, the business units. Because there is the only way to scale up what you have done. And you need to work together, because as important as creating new connections is to innovate, as breaking all connections is to implement those innovations. So maybe the phrase is complex, the statement, but to innovate you need to create new connections, but to implement the innovations you need to cut old connections. It's the only way that it's going to work. And that's something that the operational world and the innovation world should do together.
Would you like to wrap up something before the questions? Because if not, Pablo will kill me.
The time. But the question is, like always, people. And like in the case with Alvaro, it's a question to trust. So jump. My boss sent to me here. Jump and trust that and respect the other. Because sometimes creative people think that the operational guys are quite boring. And sometimes the operational guys think that creative people, innovators, are quite, yes, great, but you are not in the field. So it's very important to work together.
How many people do you have directly in your organization? And anthropologists, you mentioned, and mathematicians.
Yes, well, we have an innovation team, which is the corporate part is in Madrid, but we have innovation partners worldwide in all the countries. And now we are transforming our ways of working. That's the reason why I'm the corporate transformation director. Because it's impossible to change or to provide innovations from in out if you are not able to work in a different way internally. So it's mandatory to be more collaborative, more open, transparent, respect the different profiles, and it's not easy in big companies, really.
Gilbert, any wrap up?
I believe that
questions.
I believe that we should go to the questions. Yeah.
So we have a moderator for the questions. Yeah.
Hi, my name is Federico Infantino from Axiom. I have a question for BBVA. I definitely see a lot of emphasis in the innovation portion of BBVA's relationship with the retail sector. Do you also work on innovation for corporate clients, or let's say B2B type of channel for BBVA?
Well, Giver, you were in Cybos with with my colleagues responsible for innovation. I'm not really responsible for innovation, but the answer is yes. We have, during the time I was responsible for innovation, we also work for asset management and the treasurer, and yes, we work there, and we implemented a lot of solutions based on technology. Well, well, that is part of what we call the relationship with our customers. So we are not only thinking in retail banking, but also corporate customers. So the rules or the key aspects that we have already developed is, first of all, the bank in the cloud. So the only way to provide a seamless access is that if you have the bank ready in the cloud, okay? So seamless interaction is key. Advisory is another part, and then transparency in the way we deal with our customers.
Question?
In larger
yes,
U.S.
identify yourself. You are.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm Casey. I'm from Bach. In some of the larger companies that I've worked with in the U.S., we of course we've got dynamic synergy and innovation and all of the buzzwords. But one of the buzzwords that I wanted to ask about is knocking down silos, which is essentially, in many companies you have 2 times as many VPs as you should have and maybe 3 times as many directors as you should have. Do you see that as part of your innovation mission to try to get into organizational restructure as well as bringing new products to market, or is that something that is that the third rail? You don't want to get into that?
That is part of my new responsibilities as corporate transformation, yeah. How to encourage people to cooperate, to collaborate. Banks are designed in silos because it's the best way to ensure the quality of the service. So in a bank, no department can do anything without the rest. And it's the best way, believe me, that your money is secure. Yeah. You know that we have great methodology around internal audit and regulation compliance. And that is the stronger part of a bank. And now this practice is starting to be transferred to other companies. Of course, it's an obstacle to launch or to speed up innovation because you need to convince a lot of people in the organization. But we are going to be successful for sure. We are the first bank in the world that we have already migrated our internal operations to the cloud. So Globan is in Google, you are in Google, and you will start to help us in develop our high performance desktop internally. But this is not normal. So imagine that we have built an internal Facebook where everybody can see everything, where we have just one site per project, where transparency is going to be one of our key elements to work together.
Yeah, that's something that we work a lot. If you take a look at people is posting videos to YouTube because just they fancy, it's fun, So why not posting your own project so everybody gets to know it? Or we are doing likes. We have developed a peer-to-peer evaluation system that we've been running for 5 years now, and it's becoming a product. But this allows us to break the hierarchies and to allow people to recognize each other just because what everybody thinks. So you can pretty much rate anybody on the company. And that will give you insights on how you bring people for example, to this, for the ideation sessions. So the ideation sessions are places where we grab people, we break the structure, we perforate all the hierarchies, and we bring people who are passionate about something to collaborate. So everything is aligned with you need to break silos, you need to enable voices. Innovation is all about people. So you need to be like a social engineer once you are trying to foster this in an organization.
Well, thank you, Beatriz. Thank you, Gilbert. Thank you, the audience. And we have a huge program to continue. Pablo, thank you.
Thank you so much.